Hey friends, Christy here, and I'm back again with another scary vampire story. I have Oliver here with me again. I'm sorry if you can hear his purring. He's just super excited to see me. For our next vampire story, it's the first one in a slightly long series. I think there's 12 books in them, but yeah. So my next book I got. Hold on, he's got to leave. He's got to leave. Okay, all right, he left. Great. Sorry, Allie, I love you, but you're very heavy. So the next book I have is Marked. So this is the first, like I said, this is the first book in a series of 12. I actually read these back when I was in high school, and I remember why I liked them, and I'll get to that in a second. But then as I'm reading them now, later on, I'm curious as to how I managed to read them as well, but I'll get back to that in a second. Marked, um, Marked is about a young girl named Zoey who is very, very sick. Like she's coughing and all of that, and she doesn't know what's happening. It's a typical day at her high school where her best friend is babbling along, talking to her, until all of a sudden she sees the dead guy next to her locker. All right, so he's not exactly dead, he's undead, but he's still there. And next thing she knows, she's being summoned to the vampire high school, night school, called House of Nights. And she has been marked by the goddess Nyx herself. So she essentially becomes a vampire and she has to go to this night school now or else she will die. And her body is still going through the changing to become a fully fledged vampire. So she has to go to the school to either completely die or to become undead. So it's a school for vampires, and as she goes there, she realizes that it's a very different high school, and the vampires are nothing like she thought it was. You know, they can eat garlic. They actually eat a lot healthier than what they did back at our other school. The people there are a little bit nicer than high school. There's still a couple of bad people there, but you know what? What school doesn't have those? And you know, her supervisor or her mentor is actually the high priestess of Nyx that goes to the school. Um, so, so yeah, she goes there and she discovers that she's extra special because not only does she have a very intricate mark on her forehead of Nyx, it's actually fully colored in. This only happens to fully fledged vampires. And this girl who was recently turned, like maybe a day, already has a full colored in mark. What does it mean? And what does Nyx want her to do? So, for those of you who don't know, Nyx is the goddess of nights. She's a very ancient goddess. Um, she's a very ancient she's a very ancient goddess of night, and she's pretty much like the queen of vampires. So that's who they worship. So what I was saying earlier, why I really liked this back when I was in high school was because I really enjoyed the paganism in it, the way that they worship Nyx, the way that they like reclaim the pentagram. I almost said pentagon. It's not the pentagon. The pentagon's a government thing. The pentagram, to say like what it really is and how it actually signifies strength. That's what I thoroughly enjoyed back in high school. I was a witch person back in high school, along being a horse girl. I went through many phases in my childhood. It's amazing how I turned out this way. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. But reading it now, I will give a warning to those of you who do pick it up. It's very free on sex. I'll just say it that way. Yeah, I'll just say it that way. they very much do explore the world of sex throughout the thing, which kind of includes how, I don't know if y'all read Dracula, but they really think that biting from a vampire is a huge it's a sexual act, and it actually feels good for the human who's getting their blood sucked out. It's very similar. Like that actually does happen. Like it's portrayed that way in this book. So if you don't feel comfortable with that kind of language, then don't pick this up. Otherwise, it's a very good book. There were a couple of parts that are very cringeworthy that I want to throw, my hood up in embarrassment and be like, no, stop. But it's very good. It is told completely in the point of view of Zoey, who is actually of Cherokee descent, so it is a person of color who is a vampire as well. So that's interesting because along with learning the rituals as a vampire, she also brings in the rituals from her Cherokee heritage that her grandmother taught her. So, learning to bless oneself and using a smudge stick and learning more about plants and what they represent and things like that. So that's why I thoroughly enjoyed it, is that I love the representation and I love the paganism that's in there. It's fun. It's fun. I love it. But yeah, so like I said, this is the first one of a 12 book series. I think I got about halfway until I stopped. Maybe I'll try it again. But I remember why I fell in love with this first book as I reread it. So I'll throw in a link in the description if there is an ebook. Please check it out. Make sure you read the rest of them if you want to. I hope you guys all enjoy it. So make sure you check out the rest of the channel. Make sure you throw in a like, subscribe, and check out the other videos that the librarians have been doing. And make sure you check out our Facebook page at the Frankfurt Public Library to learn more about events and programs that's happening and other things, other exciting things at the library. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next chapter. Bye.